Hello, friends of the YouTubes. It's me, Duhad. I was going to do a New Year's Eve stream today, but some stuff happened. Nothing too serious. But anyway, I'm not going to do a stream today. But I did want to wish you all happy holidays and happy New Year's, obviously. And I wanted to give you guys something that I was going to give you during the stream, which is a free copy of the updated Ragamuffins rulebook. I've been working on that, obviously behind the scenes for a while now, and I wanted to, give everybody a chance to play it. So, Happy New Year's. Before I get into that, I just wanted to also do one quick update about the channel because don't worry, nothing bad. We've had a slight delay, mostly just due to people being out doing holiday things, out traveling and all that. But we're going to get back to it pretty soon. We've got another episode of Major planned for soon, hopefully, fingers crossed. But actually, I'm also thinking about those New Year's resolution kind of thing. I want to try and do some more streaming. I think I might have, said that last year, but seriously, we've had plans for like a podcast going for forever now, sitting on the back burner, and Kit has been talking about wanting to do some streams for the channel, playing games like XCOM and stuff, but until that happens, or in addition to that, I also been thinking about just doing some streams, interacting with you guys a little bit more, maybe trying to get into streaming because it seems like a thing to do. And I've been thinking about it for a while. So hopefully coming up soon there'll be weekly or at least bi-weekly streams. Anyway, that's for the future. For tonight, for you guys who've been so patiently waiting for an update, the channel's not dead. We're gonna be back. We've got some stuff coming. Don't worry. Meanwhile, though, your Ragamuffins update. Let me tell you what's happened since the last big update, so that you guys know what you're getting in this one, or people who played the last major update. Let's read this off this list. Okay, so Chirons had their bad reputation replaced by Slow Healer. I felt like too many people had bad rep as a prerequisite, and it didn't really make sense for games set outside of the mid-rim, because Chirons out in the frontier obviously don't have bad reputation, so I thought Slow Healer made a little bit more sense as like a just generally universal drawback for them as a species, whereas sentient AI and sentient robots and scavs, even outside the front, like basically where you go, they have kind of a bad reputation. So it made more sense for them to have it. Chiron's not so much. There's a new race, the Federation Titus, which I basically invented, and also somewhere on here there's some notes about. I changed the Rig Titus because we kind of realized when we were playing the Infernal Pandemic that the Rig Titus weren't that good. They were actually a little too heavily nerfed. So they basically didn't work unless you were playing a very specific build, and didn't like that. So in general, the powered armor, which is their signature ability, was changed so that it has its armor value reduced by 2, but it's reducing its weight by 1 and its combat penalty by 2. So it's lighter and it has a significantly reduced combat penalty in return for having its armor lowered. So basically, instead of being even better power armor, it's now equal level power armor, but with the advantage being that it's not as heavy and it doesn't slow you down nearly as much, so that you're much more capable inside of the suit. But for people who don't even want to go that far, there's the new race, which is the Federation Titus, which are Titus from Fed Space, who pretty much don't have access to as high quality suits. So but they have a little bit more experience, kind of having a bit of a rougher life. So their general thing, if I remember correctly, it's been a little while since I wrote this all down, is that their Berserker drawback has been reduced from the Federation Titus is reduced just to Enrage, so they calm down much faster if they're let out of their suit. But in exchange, they get a new quality instead of Powered Armor, which is basically Power Suit, which is like a worse power armor, but with the same general concept of you're getting decent quality armor with a significantly reduced penalty, so that I think it's like medium armor that has like light armor penalty or something like that. It's pretty good. They're pretty cool, and they're like Fed Titus will allow you to play a Rig Titus type character, but without like pretty much any of the restrictions, because the way that they're set up makes them pretty much completely capable of doing just about anything without having to like build special for them. Anyway, there's new art. There's going to be even more new art soon. Blue Hill's been working on some new character portraits for all the races to replace the ones that were in there. They look awesome, but she's been very busy with a lot of different things, so that might be a little bit before that comes in. But there is a bunch of cool new art, and there's going to be even more cool new art soon. Sorry, I had a long day. Anyway, I'm just super slow on this. Sorry. Anyway, add rules for fist weapons like brass knuckles, in addition to a bunch of upgrades for them. Very slight nerf to toxics, in that it now has to be on a bladed weapon. So mostly not really so much a nerf, just changed it slightly. It mostly is just related to wanting to kind of, it didn't make sense to punch people with poison. Anyway, slight nerf to the stealth drive. That was mostly because on playtesting it, the stealth drive became ridiculously powerful. It was like, because it was automatically, you just get away and there's no way for them to follow you. It pretty much was just like, hey, survive one turn of combat with anyone and then you're escaped if you're in a spaceship. So that wasn't intended. I wanted it to be a useful utility, but not like a automatic get out of jail free card. So now it's now you get a bonus to like stealthily escaping, and it's difficult for them to follow you, but it's not impossible anymore. So felt a bit more fair. There's new cybernetics for squads. So squads can now get like special cybernetics. They're unique to either group, like a player group, or for your subordinates. Psi was nerfed slightly. I forget exactly what that was. Again, these are changes that have taken place over a very long time. I don't remember all the changes, but Psi was nerfed slightly. So look into that. It's a little weaker than it used to be. I think it's just like. I think it's just like the success rate has changed, altered slightly, because Psi was really, really strong. Anyway, weapons. Oh yeah, this is a fun one. I like this. Weapons now have a restriction for where they're permitted to be carried without a permit. So actually, I'm going to put on some music in the background real quick, because I realize this is going a lot longer than I intended, and I don't want to just be drumming. Ooh, that's very loud. Okay. So weapons now have a permit system attached to them. So basically, there's actually another tactical element to carrying smaller guns, which is that the guns in general, guns and knives and stuff have different requirements for where you can carry them. And so, if you're out exploring the frontier or in like a war-torn zone or whatever, you can carry a giant rocket launcher with you. But if you're hanging out on a spaceport, most places are going to require you to, not carry over a certain size. Like you can carry a decent-sized sword or a medium-sized gun if you have the right permit, but you can't go in with a rocket launcher. If you're walking around like a civilized area, then you pretty much need to carry a concealed weapon if you want to be allowed to walk around with anything at all. So slight restriction on, slight advantage to actually using smaller weapons, and a bit more of a, just sort of a realism thing as well. GFP, the experience, can now, at GM's discretion only, be used to cause fatal attacks to instead be knockouts and near fatal injuries. So pretty much it goes along with the, I kind of wanted to change up the coming back from the dead thing to instead. I didn't want to do a thing where you can just always survive, but I wanted to kind of do a thing where maybe instead it's not that you come back from the dead, it's that you use the points, and at the GM's discretion, it can just be the thing where like you get blown up, but it turns out the explosion wasn't quite as close as it looked, and you survive barely. But whenever you take this option, you always take a critical damage. You always take a permanently destroyed limb or body part. And if you took one, you'll lose two. So like it can be really, really punishing, but you survive. Because I didn't want it to feel like just I pop back up, I'm fine, hey, whatever. But instead now it's like my arm's off, but I'm alive. So you get a robot arm instead. I like cybernetic limbs and stuff. I think they're cool. Eyes and anyway. Sorry. Anyway, important NPCs now get 2 to 4 GFP points to use for rolls, near-death escapes and other stuff at GM's discretion. So that gives the GMs a slight edge for plot important characters. This is just a thing I probably should have added earlier on. Because I kind of feel like it's important to let major NPCs, not just every random shit bag, but like just major characters to avoid getting like murked by players who just like to run over and blow up everybody in their way and instantly wipe out important NPCs instantly in one turn. This gives them a slight edge. It gives them a slight ability to kind of go toe to toe with the PCs, and it's optional. GM can just be like, hey, you know what? I prefer a more brutal, more realistic setting, so I'm not going to give my NPCs this ability, and I'll even restrict PCs using GFP for anything other than experience or whatever. It's cool, whatever GMs like. There's new offensive options. You've definitely seen, if you've been watching the games, you've definitely seen this. So there's now grappling, flurry of attacks, brutal assault. It gives muscle more to do in hand-to-hand combat. Steady aim gets sense more to do with range combat. There's new ship offensive options, small buff to ramming, because I felt ramming was a little underpowered. It kind of was just, I kill myself, where it was supposed to be kind of like, could be that, but it could also be, like a big ramming ship that just smashes through smaller vessels. So ramming is given a buff. Power to the weapons is now an offensive action, so it's more to do with the more options for attacking and stuff. Bumbles added. Oh man, I love bumbles. This was one of my favorite things. So if you roll doubles, you get a small advantage or small loss depending on if it was a success or failure. You might have seen these in the thing. So basically, if you roll doubles and you fail, but in a way that's like kind of a Mr. Bean, bumbling thing where you kind of like half succeed even though you fucked up. So it's like you try and dodge, but you fail, but you bumble. So you actually do kind of get out of the way, but you like fall on your ass when you're doing it. Or if it's a success, doubles are instead a success with a complication. So like you trying to lockpick a door, and you do, but you set off the alarm. Or you're trying to deactivate an alarm, but you do, but now there's like a security guard coming to check out why the alarm system's turned off or something. Like just a fun way to add in, kind of a bit of a like thing, so that successes and failures can have a little bit of a double-edged sword thing going on. And I added a critical rule on top of this. I don't think I actually mentioned that in the notes, but I did do that where double ones are always a failure, double tens is always a success. So it's like, essentially it's the equivalent of critical. So you can get a critical failure or a critical success, or you can kind of bumble if you get in the middle. Because I like the idea of like kind of mixed successes and mixed failures. Anyway, new qualities, major qualities, incredible luck, which basically makes it so that if you get a double is always good for you, pass or fail. So it's like any doubles on success is always going to be a like a success with a critical success, and doubles on a failure is always going to be at least a partial success. Horrible luck, the exact opposite. Even if you double on a failed roll, it's always like a critical failure. If you double on a success, it's always a partial failure, even with the double tens. Side gifted upgraded to give 3 powers. Basically, I added a bunch of psi abilities. I forget if I added them also in this, but there's been a lot more psi abilities added in general, and so I kind of felt like 2 was a little restrictive. So Now, Psi Gifted is more is better because you get 3 abilities. So there's less of an incentive to go all the way to Third Eye unless you really want to have the full suite of powers. So this is kind of like, hey, I like psychic abilities, but I don't want to make my character 100% dedicated to this. I want to spend all 4 points just to get, access to more than 2 abilities. So I felt 3 was a good compromise where it's a little bit more valuable, a little bit more reasonable. Right, Power Suit, I already mentioned that. It's basically a weaker version of the power armor, where you get better access to lower grade stuff. Obviously, it's a key feature for the Federation Titus, but it's also now a thing that you can pick up if you want to play a character who's walking around in a mobility aid suit or something, and you get some nifty armor out of that. Anyway, right. New Chiron, so new NPCs, the Chiron Governor, Federation Titus Enforcer. Basically, I made Chiron Governor for the Mysterious Fate campaign, and I felt that was a good option to throw into the NPC list because it's like if you're going to play a game out in the frontier and you're going to deal with the coalition, you're probably going to deal with political groups. So Chiron Governor, and now there's the like I said, and the Federation Titus Enforcer was basically just I wanted to put a Federation Titus character into the NPCs. I'm going to make new character sheets for example PCs, but for the time being, this guy kind of both gives you an example NPC of a Federation Titus, and it also their gimmick is that they're like a brawly type character, so they also show off the new fist-based weapons thing, and it gives the criminal classes kind of a big strong guy character type to kind of flesh them out a little bit more. I feel like that, and I don't know, for people who like using example NPCs for mooks, which I do, it gives you a little more options. Okay. So new unidentified frontier forces. So again, if you watched Infernal Pandemic, you know that's the coalition guys. They include the Chiron military officer, the Alluru shock troop, the Chiron Psi cult agent, the Alluru conscript, and enlisted scav ship specialists. So if you want to play a game where the coalition is involved, there's now a bunch of options for all sorts of different new Federation. Okay. Behind the scenes thing, they used to be called the New Federation, and then me and Bleal realized that the New Federation and the Federation being the two big opposing forces was just going to get confusing, so they changed to the Coalition. So Coalition now has their own guys, and I deliberately left them out until they were revealed in the campaign just to keep our players from learning about them. But yeah, so you get a bunch of new cool guys. So those big guys with the big knife ships now have their own NPC sheets. Okay, so character sheets at the end of the book. The cheat sheet at the end of the book. Wow, that was dumb. Cheat sheet at the end of the book. I basically, just as a quick reference guide, at the back of the book, there's now a bunch of columns of stuff letting you know how to do character creation real fast and lists of all the abilities and stuff. It's a bit like the appendixes at the end of the Unisystem books, where it's just, hey, have you already read the book and you already know all the stuff, but you need a quick refresher? Turn to the back page and bam, it's there. Yeah. Better, more pricey upgrades. So I added new, better versions of all of the upgrades for all of the equipment. So like armor piercing now has a better version of armor piercing and stuff. And the idea behind them is that they're overpriced, like they're deliberately overpriced, and the idea is that they're there mostly for NPCs to be able to, for GMs to be able to make their boss characters stronger with like better, more flashy gear. But they're also there for players, for whatever reason, end up flush with cash and they want to spend it on big, flashy upgrades. You can buy these overpriced abilities, which are good, like they are like much better versions of the normal upgrades. It's just that they cost more than twice as much, so they're cost inefficient, but cool. They're flashy. If you really want, your NPCs or your PCs to get all flashy with it. New use for GFP, that being the experience thing again, that works off stand firm to ignore up to 14 points of incoming damage. Basically, stand firm was really popular. Actually, nerfed stand firm. I missed that bit. Slight nerf to stand firm. Stand firm was way too good, so I reduced its. It used to be stand firm in Pearl Pandemic. You saw you can block up to 10 points of damage or half the incoming damage. That was too much. That was basically making characters just stand and empty giant machine guns into each other with no effect. So that's been reduced down to 7 or half, around whatever is higher. But using a GFP, you can now make it up to. Sorry, phone call. You can now make it up to. You can now make it up to 14 points by using a GFP. So you can basically use a GFP to pretty much ignore realistically just about all incoming damage from anything other than like a, cannon blowing up your feet. And finally, new nerf to cheating death with GFP by making it so you always take at least one I already went over that when I went over the new cheating death thing. Basically, I added that, and then later on I went in and nerfed it slightly to make it so that it wouldn't be as good. So like you cheat death, but you take at least one permanent crippled body part. So that's like whatever happens, you get severely damaged, and you don't just walk away from it. So it's less of a I ignore what would have otherwise killed me, and more of a you come back with a big scar, severely damaged bit of your body, but you're still alive and you're still kicking. So that's the update. So enjoy the book. It's in the description. Talk to you guys soon. Bye.